Meteorologist Matt Chambers here beside me. The radar looking a lot different than it did earlier this morning.
For sure. That said, there are still, thousands literally of people probably watching this newscast that are thinking, wait a minute, I still hear thunder. I'm still getting rain. Not for much longer. It's really all winding down, and the severe threat, even in those areas that are still seeing rain, has dropped to nil. We've zapped all the energy out of this atmosphere. Here's Sky Tracker Doppler radar. What you're looking at is a 1 hour loop, and just to do a little color decoding here, the greens and the yellows would indicate light to moderate rain. The reds, the more intense oranges, that's the heavy rain. And you notice it corresponds very nicely with the lightning, which we still have a lot of along Mount Vernon, I-57, I-64. That interchange is a mess right now. There is a lot of ponding of water on roadways and a lot of frequent cloud-to-ground lightning. But notice, most of the heavy rain south of Sparta, south of Centralia, Effingham, Vandalia, northeastern corner of the viewing area. You're still getting some rain, occasionally a rumble of thunder. But this is moving away from St. Louis, not closer to. So we're basically sticking a fork in this thing. I think we're just about done in terms of the wet weather action. So the threat of severe weather has ended. That's the biggest headline I've got for you here in the noon hour. But now temperatures crash this afternoon. Wait until you see what's going to happen on the thermometer. Maybe some late day sun peeking through, but boy, there's a lot of cloud cover on the backside of this front. Just to emphasize that the severe threat has ended, here's the latest outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, and they are perfectly in line with us. There's St. Louis right here. There's still a large and sprawling severe threat to our east and our southeast, but according to their latest analysis, it just barely clips some of our easternmost and southernmost counties, and I did a little fine-tune analysis here. There's next to no energy left for severe thunderstorms, even in those areas. So no more threat of severe weather as the day goes on. But look at this, 63 in Flora, 53 in St. Louis, 48 in Warrenton. So here comes the colder air on these northwest winds. As expected, it is crashing in pretty hard. So what does that mean? Well, it means into the afternoon, temperatures are going to head in the wrong direction. A lot of you in the 50s right now, you'll wind up in the 40s. It says mostly sunny and warmer there. That's a Matt Chambers error. That should be breezy, mostly cloudy and cooler. Look at these temperatures as they drop through the remainder of the afternoon. I think easily we're into the 40s by about 9 o'clock tonight with, again, significant cloud cover. Now let's start the Forewarned Super Predictor here at lunchtime. Notice it's doing a really good job of pinpointing where the rain action is. It's well to the east and southeast, east of Nashville, east and southeast of Centralia. Keep an eye on this clock in the upper left-hand corner. I'll set it in motion. All of those thunderstorms settle farther to the south and east. It's possible that mid-afternoon you get one more wave of just light rain showers. I mean light rain showers from Nashville back up towards Vandalia. That should be about it. I think the St. Louis metropolitan area is completely dry for the remainder of the day. By the way, if you're sneezing, if you're wheezing, you've been trying to take advantage of the warmer days the last couple of days, here's why. Tree pollen is really high right now, especially specifically poplar, maple, and oak. Weeds relatively low right now. Grass is starting to come on a little bit, and the mold is low. But after today's rain, wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow's mold report is quite a bit higher. All right, let's put it all together for the next few days. Tranquil compared to what we've had recently, for sure. Tomorrow's not a bad day, but it's a little cool. 58, partly cloudy. Good Friday, we really start to turn a corner here. Looks a lot better. 65 in the afternoon. I think we're close to 70 on Saturday with a lot of sunshine there. And boy, Easter Sunday, even in the morning for the Easter egg hunts and the sunrise services, that's looking pretty good. Monday, you've got a slim chance of rain. That might back up just a little bit into late Sunday. But again, the good news in the short term is the threat of severe weather is over. It's just going to be a chilly afternoon.